Hello, my name is Big Lad Ghosty and I like to play video games. When I'm not playing video games, however, I like to write scripts for YouTube videos and leave them in development hell for years on end. This is a video about Off. Off is a 2008 indie RPG created by Mortis Ghost and composed by alias Comrade Coldwood, created in the RPG Maker 2003 game engine. In the game, you take control of the Batter, a stoic, mysterious man adorned in a baseball uniform who is given a sacred mission by some higher power. I think I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We'll get back to talking about the Batter in a bit. We got some more bits to sort out beforehand. The game was first released in French in 2008, but it would later receive an officially endorsed English fan translation in 2011, being released on starmen.net, a fan site for the Mother series of games. The game would go on to become a cult classic in the indie RPG scene and would eventually go on to inspire some of the biggest names in indie RPGs today. For example, it's a little game you might have heard of. It's called Undertale. Off is a game that is widely beloved for its quite frankly bizarre nature. Everything about the game, its characters, its story, its phenomenal soundtrack, and even its overall atmosphere just emanates this feeling that something is, well, off. And it manages to maintain that eerie tone throughout the entire game. One such example that makes the game as iconic as it is despite its relative obscurity is the game's main battle theme, which if you've been around in certain circles long enough, you're bound to have heard it at least once or twice. Pepper Steak is the most important song in the entire game. It perfectly encapsulates the game's bizarre tone with a cacophony of sounds and melodies strung together to create one of the most unique pieces of music I've ever seen created for a video game. It has no right working as well as it does, however it manages to convey everything someone needs to know about the game right from a first listen. If you intend to play the game through to completion, you certainly wouldn't be forgetting about Pepper Steak anytime soon. Everything about Off fits together perfectly, and I couldn't fault it if I tried. Is what I would say if I didn't absolutely despise the combat system in the game. If only there was a big, strong company who could fund a new version of the game that could be put onto modern storefronts, consoles maybe? Maybe even revamp the battle system while they're at. Oh, thank God. Fast forward another 14 years, and in 2025, Fangamer and Mortis Ghost released Off! A full remake of the original game, built in the Unity engine with a completely new and revamped combat system. Oh, praise the Lord, thank God! Unfortunately, however, alias Comrade Coldwood didn't want the tracks that he had composed for the original game to be used in the remake. This meant that iconic songs such as Pepper Steak, Fake Orchestra, and Flesh Maze Tango would not be appearing in the remake. As a result, a completely new soundtrack was created from the ground up for the game, composed by some of the biggest names in the indie RPG scene. People such as Night Margin, one of the creators of One Shot, and a little indie developer by the name of, I don't know if you've heard of him, Toby Fox! Just for comparison's sake, let's take a listen to both themes of Dadan, the first boss of the game. See this? This right here? This is a joke. What I played for you was in fact Our Hand, but this version of it was only present at the demo released in May of 2025. Off is an amazing game. Both versions of it are as amazing as each other. If this introduction has piqued your interest regarding the game and has put it on your radar, then I urge you to leave immediately. Stop watching this video, play the game, and come back later. This video aims to talk about the final boss of the game, so obviously major spoilers ahead. The original game is completely free to play, and I'll put a link to it and the remake in the description below. I'll give you 5 seconds to leave before you before you see something you probably don't want to. In order to explain why the final boss of Off is so amazing to me, I'm going to be talking about it twice. Once with the original 2008 game, and then once again with the remake to see how much it's changed, and how it's changed for the better. For the sake of keeping things separated, I will not be talking about the remake in depth until later in the video. We're still a bit far off from talking about the actual boss yet, so just strap in, we've got some bits to cover first. The Batter is one of my favourite characters of all time. As I mentioned much earlier in the video, the Batter is a stoic, mysterious man of few words. He's cold, he's brutal, and won't let anything get in his way. The Batter is here to carry out his sacred mission, that being to purify this world and the spectres that live within it. You, as the player, carry the Batter across the game's 3 zones, 4 if you include Zone 0, to rid them of the spirits in order to purify the world. Just to make it clear now, the Batter and the player exist as 2 separate entities. Until the need to make the distinction between the 2 entities is necessary, I will be referring to the combination of these entities as the Batter. Throughout the game, the Batter will gain experience, competencies, and add-ons that will make the journey to purify the world much easier. But what exactly does it mean to purify the world? Obviously, the Batter wants to rid the world of spectres, but is that really all there is to it? Or is there a much more sinister meaning behind the Batter's sacred mission? Alright, let's talk about the Judge. The Judge is the guardian of Zone 0 and is the first NPC that the Batter encounters. For all intents and purposes, the Judge is the true guide on the Batter's journey, guiding them through all of Zone 0 and going on to pop up several times throughout the course of the game. In Zone 2, the Batter comes face to face with Japhet, the zone's guardian, who has taken on the appearance of the Judge's brother Valerie. Japhet killed Valerie and has been inhabiting his dead body ever since. After the battle, the Judge isn't seen for the rest of the game. The world has been purified. One flick of the switch, and the Batter will have completed his sacred mission. But the Judge has returned. And from here, the player has a choice. For now, we'll pick the Batter. The battle begins and you're face to face with the Judge. The closest thing you've had to a friend throughout the whole game has come to be your final roadblock to purifying this world. A friend turned foe, trying to stop you from carrying out your sacred mission. You've brought the Batter this far. You can't stop now. If it wasn't clear already, the Batter is not the hero of this story. The Batter intends to destroy this world and everything in it, leaving nothing behind. The fight with the Judge is made truly amazing as a result of the fight's main theme, Avatar Beat. It's not this big, triumphant melody that portrays the battle of a great beast like Fake Orchestra does for the dance fight in Zone 1. It's a melancholic, bizarre piece that I believe aims to make the player feel terrible for having guided the Batter along this journey. Avatar Beat isn't a song created for a fight. It's a song created for a murder. The Judge is far too weak of an opponent for the Batter, however. And the Judge goes down just as easy as the rest of the world. But, we're not done here. I don't want to talk about the remake throughout the rest of this video in order to keep it as simple as possible, but, here's where the remake can really shine. Why only bring up the remake now? Right before you begin talking about the special ending, you might be asking. I personally believe but the special ending is best experienced in the remake, making it the best moment of the game by far, by a country mile, specifically because of the remake's biggest weakness in most people's eyes, the new soundtrack. Avatar Beat was one of my favourite tracks in the original game, and hearing that they were going to have to replace it broke my heart. I was genuinely distraught, and I thought that nothing would ever be able to replace it. However, while Avatar Beat is still an amazing song to me, the new song created specifically for the remake, Chosen Anew, is absolutely perfect for the special ending, and I can never look at the original game's version the same way I once did. The fight begins, and you're face to face with a monster, a demon that you've nurtured throughout the entire game. To you, the batter no longer looks human. You're finally seeing him for what he truly is, a monster. In a last-ditch attempt to right your wrongs, you side with the judge and aim to control him to victory. Your moveset is unfamiliar, your circumstances are dire, and your chances of survival are impossible. And what should be the last thing going through your mind? Pepper steak. The usage of pepper steak throughout Chosen Anew is genuinely astounding. If this wasn't the song they used to announce the remake with, my jaw would have hit the floor upon hearing it for the first time. It takes the most iconic track from the original game and distorts it to have the complete opposite effect. Pepper steak is the most common song used in the original game and is eventually just reduced to nothing more than the basic battle theme. Here, it's heavy. The pepper steak beat drop rewards those familiar with the source material with a musical experience that I would argue is unmatched across the whole medium. Even without this prior context, however, Chosen Anew manages to completely change the tone of this fight from how Avatar Beat contextualizes it. Avatar Beat is solemn. It makes you feel awful for picking the fight. Chosen Anew is a warning, a sign to run. The lights are blaring in your face, telling you to turn back, but you can't run. And then, it drops again. The song becomes frantic, desperate, you're petrified. The cacophony of instruments gives off this feeling that the walls are closing in. Everything is tense. You were not supposed to win this fight. But by some miracle, you do.
What does it matter if rain comes your way?
While I think Off's final bosses, especially in the remake, are some of the greatest that I've ever experienced, the whole game deserves the same amount of praise. I genuinely think that Off is one of the greatest games ever created. The game oozes creativity and charm completely unique to itself, especially for the time that it came out. It's not a game that you can get through once and expect to unpack everything it has to offer. It needs time to digest and for you to uncover its meaning, and I love it for it. It's one of the most well-crafted, passionate, and quite honestly beautiful games that I've ever played, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. This game genuinely has so much going for it that I'm not even satisfied with how I've left this video. But for what it is, I think I've said enough, at least for now. There's so much to do, there's so much to process, and there's so much to read into this game, that if I ever make a habit out of these sorts of videos, I'd love to have a proper crack at a large-scale off video at some point in the future. But when all is said and done, I think it's quite safe to say that there truly is no better feeling than having just beaten off.
Ends in gladness, showers are not in vain. So if you want the rainbow. You must have a rainbow.